Okay, so a question I have for you is there's a saying going around that black men don't cry, and I know that was something you really wanted to hit on and touch on. So please.
Well, the reason I wanted to touch on it so bad is because it's bullshit, and I reject the notion that this is a thing rooted in black women raising them harshly, as though the style of parenting varies according to sexes when it comes to black parenthood and how we raise our children in this hostile environment. So I just asked a couple of sisters as we were walking over here, me and you.
I was there.
Had they ever heard the term growing up? And these sisters look to be anywhere from, with all the makeup, I'm sorry, I just couldn't really tell, anywhere from like 25-ish to like 32 or something, somewhere in there. How you doing, Queen? Thank you. You too, Queen. Have they ever heard the term growing up? You keep crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. And they both immediately were like, yes. True. Adamantly, right? No hesitation. They heard the term before. So this idea that the concentration was put on boys to project this false masculinity that entailed not expressing emotions is ridiculous, because black women have also been accused of coddling our men. So the community has to make up its mind which we do. Which one do we do? Do we coddle or do we break down and destroy? You have to make up your mind, okay? So it's really a mixture of our fear, and our fear is based, a fear that we have to lose, but a fear that is instilled in us because of the hostile environment that we're raised in, right? And we know that our children's lives don't matter in this society. They just don't. Black lives do not matter in this society. There's no question about this. That's why the term is popular, because this idea that they do is trying to be instilled in people that will never believe that internally. Externally, they can say it. No matter how liberal they are, there's always going to be blind spots that manifest themselves in their behavior that make it obvious that on some level they don't think that our lives really matter, right? So all of our children have been raised differently than the races, than other children's races. Our boys seem to be especially targeted, though, when it comes to police brutality. Although we can give a laundry list of name of women who have been killed by the police since the 90s, you know what I mean? But during lynchings, when you look throughout the book Without Sanctuary, you see women alongside men, you see children alongside women and men. So there was this universal way of treating black life that was ingrained in their code, right? However, black men seem to be particularly favored when it came to that sickness. We can look at what they did to the black man's body when they lynched black men, right? And it was different. Like, we got it in the medical with the gynecology, right? Also with the rape, because men experienced that too. But it's like with the lynchings, they had an obsession with your genitalia. And so when there were accounts of reporters that would write about these lynchings, they would go into detail about the mutilations of the black men's bodies. There wasn't accounts of the black men. There was accounts of black men over and over. I know that the black women had babies cut out of them, things of that nature. When you're looking beyond sanctuary, there's probably thousands, hundreds. I can't remember how many were wrote about. I just know there were, 500-600 pictures of lynchings somewhere in there. And I'm not sure if he wrote about all of them, but the ones that I read about, men were disfigured. The genitalia was removed. So there's this like alpha, like monkey shit that goes on with white men when it comes to black men, because when you look in the animal kingdom, when you look in the ape kingdom, when you look in the gorilla kingdom, they disfigure other males' genitalia. They rip the genitalia. When those males attack men, human men, they bite their fingers off and attack their genitalia. So this is almost like them going back to their nature when they run into what they perceive as an alpha and a threat. And you've already killed, so that's overkill. So that's a symbolic conquering. That's a double conquering. That's your lineage. I've cut you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Amos Wilson calls it psychic violence.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and even they would let some live mutilated like that. But there's this thing. So there is, even if we don't want to label it as such, in that we raise all of our children to have thicker skin because they are endangered species and they're not going to be treated. They don't have the luxury of living life as though they're not being hunted. They don't have that luxury. They have to learn how to walk as soon as they're born, like the gazelle does. Figuratively, our children have to. I think that's why we develop faster. I think that's why the Most High created us in such a way that our bodies mature faster. We're built differently. The black female is different. Female in other races, the female, our bone density. You know what I mean? Our strength. We see that when we look at the Olympics. Okay, we see a difference, a vigor, an essence, a strength, just something that's just just earth, just natural, just nature, just supposed to be here. You know, so there is this extra caution. A black mother and a white mother will worry about the same thing when our child leaves the house to go out to a club at night. That talk might be the same. Don't drink anything. Don't leave your drink sitting around. Someone might slip a drink in your drink. Don't go back to his hotel room. Don't fuck him on the first night. The advice is different. The worries are different. Well, when those two women have sons that go out at night, that fucking worry is different. She's worried about Jake possibly getting a DUI. I'm worried that he might not come home. And that the same motherfuckers that come to my door to tell me that he's not coming home are the same motherfuckers that killed him. They're very different concerns. So yes, there's gonna be a slight difference. And you can't raise a sensitive man that is on the defense. It has to be on the defense all the time. It has to defend his life at all times. Be it the way that he conducts himself when he comes into contact with this person that has shown themselves to be an open enemy collectively, you know, in order, like we were talking about earlier, to control the narrative, or to physically feel it is necessary for me to take this life in order to preserve my own or that of my family. And you can't raise him the same way you raise Jake. It doesn't have to consider what he looks like when he leaves the house and when he goes among certain people. Jake and Malik have different concerns when they get pulled over by the police. Jake is not concerned to reach for his driver's license. You understand? He's not concerned with that. He might act like it when he records it on video, so he can seem like a down white boy. We're worried too. Things happen to us too. Yeah, men get raped by women too, but does it happen enough for y'all to talk about the shit being a national crisis? Do they have men support groups for men that get raped by women? No, they fucking don't. Okay? Because that's not really a thing. You know, underage sex, a young boy and an older woman, yeah, that's rape. That's something else. I'm talking about grown-ass men constantly getting raped by women. This is not an ongoing thing, okay? So you can't compare that, just like you can't compare incidents of police using excessive force on white men, on white women, in these isolated incidents. Because trust me, there would be a whole civil war if this was happening the way that it's happened to us. The way that they freed themselves from England would be the same vigor with which they went against the motherfucking police department if white women and children and men were getting killed the way black people were. So we know it's not the same thing. So yes, because of this reality, black mothers are faced with a task that other races aren't faced with. So of course, having sons that are the fucking not punching bag, but what is that thing called when you go to the shooting range?
Target?
Yeah, the target. Yeah, basically, I thought it was called something else, but basically, he is the target. You know what I'm saying? The world is the white man's shooting range, and the black man is the target. You understand? So all black people can get it, but black men seem to be like the focus. You understand? They seem to really be the focus of these murders. So we do raise you all to those of us who are awake enough to understand the danger that you face and are realistic about it, do raise you with that in mind and do raise you to be tougher. And we don't let you cry over scraping your knee every time. You know what I'm saying? We don't let you carry on in that emotion too long, because you're not going to have that luxury in the world. You're not going to have that luxury when something's not going your way in the real world of whining about it for an extra amount of time like Jake can, and just be told, oh, he's just having a hard time. You'll get the fucking police called on you and get your brains knocked out your fucking head if you start acting a certain way when they get there. And then you probably are, because you're already out of control. So I can't raise you to be out of control. You have to be in control over your emotions at all times. You don't have the luxury of having a bad fucking day, because your bad day could be your last fucking day. So yeah, you're raised different. However, y'all have not been told not to fucking cry. So my brother, when I was talking to my brother about this, hey, has some very good examples. Tyrese going off about being mistreated and, you know, his career and being discriminated against. Y'all seen Tyrese, boo-hoo. Somebody did not give this man a hang-up. His mama, whoever raised him, whatever women were around him, not give him a hang-up about crying. This man had no problem crying, getting on national TV. Who's this other guy?
Ben Jones.
I took notes. Yes.
He's a crying ass nigga.
Okay, what did he cry about?
He was crying because he said he was getting mistreated for being a black man.
Okay, it wasn't Tyrese.
No.
It wasn't Tyrese.
But he's a crying ass nigga too, though.
Okay. That's like, it went viral, right?
Yeah.
It went viral. What was the other one?
Killer Mike.
Okay. Over the white guy, the commentator, right?
That's
the
Cornell.
Guy. Okay, see, because so many can't even, come on now, all on like, if you crying black man. Google it, you'll find it. You'll find it. You can Google cry, you can YouTube crying black man, you will find videos of these famous people and probably just some random shit of some man crying over something online. So this idea that men have had that sensitivity, black men have had the sensitivity beat out of them by the upbringing of angry black women is ridiculous, because these men would not get on national anything. They would not let a video go viral of them doing this very taboo thing. Knowing how much it would damage them and actually too. You know, so that's a total, that's a myth. That's a complete myth. If anything, we've been responsible for coddling you to such a degree that the police can run rampant in our communities. And y'all get on TV and cry about how y'all wanted to stop. And y'all write Facebook posts about how y'all wanted to stop.
And make memes.
But there's not a cop in the history of the United States that has ever thought twice about killing a black person because he had an example to think of the last cop that did it. So are we beating the sensitivity out of you, or are y'all too fucking sensitive? And I believe this is you guys deflecting. Men who want to focus on this, because I started seeing this bullshit after so many outcries from women. Women have been very vocal. Black women have been very vocal about wanting our communities protected by black men. And white male aggression to be matched with black male aggression, to be challenged and checked by black male aggression. These are not Karens running up in the community killing us. That would be different. I would understand the expectation, and I would understand that, well, what y'all gonna do? But when we ask y'all to protect us and y'all say, well, what y'all gonna do, y'all basically are calling us the leaders. So are y'all the men, or are we the leaders? Are y'all the leaders, or are we the leaders? Y'all submit to us, or I don't understand.
I'm hearing you.
I don't get it.
I'm hearing you.
I don't get it. So we're not beating the feminine qualities out of you. The white man quite clearly sees it. You're clearly allowed to be emotional all over Facebook while the white man is active. Yeah. So all we've asked is for you to step up, and in return, basically what you told us is, if y'all would have raised us better and let us cry, we would have protected you. That's bullshit. The very women who have been by your side throughout the history of our horrible experience here have remained with you after we watched the history. After we watched the men penetrate you. Could you imagine the horror of a woman, an African woman, watching her man get penetrated? And then give him whatever it is to help the bleeding stop, or whatever response his body had to that treatment. Her having to then heal this man. Give him something to numb it. Give him pain medication. Nurse his fucking ego. Talk him out of wanting to kill himself. Whatever the fuck he wanted to do after that. To bring him back to life after that. And y'all want to fucking turn around and tell us we don't fucking let y'all cry. Y'all got us fucked up. Y'all got us fucked up. If you all fixed what happened in history in regards to actually seeing this beast for what it is, unlike y'all did when they came among us as traitors and y'all started offering the black woman up as gifts, let's talk to the traitors as concubines and as gifts to take back and as sex toys. If y'all made that up to us, and if we saw y'all stand up to white aggression, we wouldn't even be having to have these conversations. But y'all know that y'all have been collectively earned the respect that you so demand. And that's the problem. We're demanding that y'all do something, and y'all are attacking us back. This is deflection. We haven't stopped y'all from crying. The fact that we've allowed y'all to be so sensitive is why the white man has allowed it again to run rampant in our community. So we need to rethink this.
Great, son. How are you?
Woo! Man. Shout out to Micah X. Shout out to Gavin Long. But I agree fully with you, and thank you for bringing that home full circle, because I got one last question. Are you familiar with like the Manosphere on YouTube?
No.
Okay, so it's like Kevin Samuels, them. So I gotta ask, just because you brought this up.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you familiar with Kevin Samuels?
I am very familiar with Kevin Samuels. My brother, Colin, that's the leads, put me up on Kevin Samuels a few months ago. I listened to quite a bit of his videos.
Okay, let me ask, because I love asking black women this. What do you think about Kevin Samuels, good or bad? Just what is your thoughts?
I have mixed feelings. Now, I like that he touches on the importance of black women being more selective and more careful with their choices. Okay? In terms of mating, in terms of procreating, in terms of marriage, in terms of divorce, in terms of upgrading, in terms of how they'll be perceived in society. The issue that I have with him is that his idea of masculinity and a high value man is very shallow and Eurocentric. And so there's nothing that speaks to a man's morality or character. It's just, do you have a watch? Do you have a nice suit? Do you make 100,000? Do you have a big ink? You know, these very elementary and very egotistical and shallow things. And because there are men that fit all that criteria that fuck their daughters and sons at night when their wife is sick, or that fuck animals, or that have animal brothels, or that are on the dark web watching kitty porn, or that beat the shit out of their wives, or that have suicidal children because they don't have any emotional attachment to them. So these aren't things that make you a good man because you have these material things, and because you dress this way, because you speak this way, and because other men recognize you because of these material things that you amass as a high value man. So I don't like his standard. And his standard, he's admitted, these aren't his standards. So he's basing his standards on a Euro model. Okay, and so then you have black men that are following this Euro model and that are judging black women based on this Euro model. So then how much do you weigh? I'm not obese. But I can't appreciate the fact that he does ask the hard questions. There are women that, you know, don't really meet the requirements of these men. These men want arm candy. That's just real. They like beautiful things. They want the big car. They want the fancy house. They don't want the 250-pound wife with 4 children by some other man. I get that. You understand? But there's some women, however, that do meet good men that are high value on another spectrum.
No, I agree with you, because I think when he says high value, to me, it's just you're describing high earning and things that come with high earning, man. But values, especially as a black person, an African person, as you just said, you're basing everything off a Eurocentric mindset. And you may get the money and can provide, but can you provide that presence?
Right.
Can you provide that knowledge? Can you
Right.
provide that education?
Right. So, and then there's just, you know, some things that have come out about him, and so I wonder does he have gender envy? And is that the driving force? Because he seems to really be on this campaign of focusing on the Negro woman problem, when I think the focus needs to be as a male on their class. Because when you look at rites of passage, what role is focused on when it comes to manhood training? The men aren't talking about what the women should be doing. The women aren't talking about what the men should be doing. The only time these things come up is when it's related to sexual interaction, marital interaction. You know what I'm saying? The taboos of sexual relations in the African culture, right? In the traditional African culture, and how we interrelate within a relationship, within marriage, within courtship, all of that, right? That's how. But as far as outside of that, no. And so that's not his place to be, like, you know what I'm saying? But women call in and they want to be the exception to the rule, and then they fall into this trap of, you know, he's a sadist, you know, so they fall right into it, and he gets to tear into, you know, and just do his thing. And so that's what I think about. I don't need his services. My children don't need his services. My sons don't need his services. He has a following, and they're happy with what he teaches. And any sisters that admire me and that gravitate towards me and that use me as a model of businesswoman and African womanhood will not be steered in the direction of any man that is his disciple.
I respect that. I respect that. You heard about the Polight situation?
Yeah.
You want to speak on that?
I mean, so I don't know if it's true or not. But let me just say that, and that's all I can say about it.
I agree. I know the circle. For me, I know like the circle he runs in, those things happen. However, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if it come out and it fry the nigga.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
And that's what I will say. That's what I will say. If it comes out that it's true and it ain't no question and it's true, fuck them, like R. Kelly. I don't understand these so-called conscious people that are still able to enjoy this man's voice and this man's frequency. Because music, I got a subwoofer in my car. I love music. So I love to feel it go through me. And a person's voice, you feel that too booming. And you are getting their essence. You're getting they're pulsating, they're resonating with you. And to know that a person's character is so ill that they can take a child and urinate on them, have sex with them. Children aren't even, no matter how well built, no matter how willing they seem, they're not mentally capable of really understanding the ramifications of the emotional attachments that result from having sex with people, or the possible emotional attachments, or the regret of doing something that you really don't want to do in the heat of the moment, and how dirty you feel later about it. You understand, like, they're not making conscious decisions, they're being manipulated. So for someone to feel that, fuck what he did, I still enjoy his music, fuck you. You understand? Like, I don't even consider you an African if you can still enjoy this person's frequency. This is a whole pedophile. You know, and that's not African. So, yeah, if he's found guilty, I mean, if it's substantiated, and fuck him. He need, head on the pike.
And definitely he will get his once he touches them walls, if it's not the case.
Yeah.
Okay. We leave it at that.
Yeah.